friends. How are we on this fabulous Thursday? How would you manifest contact from someone you've not spoken to or know yet? So is this like a new person? Or do you actually know who the person is? You just don't think they know you. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's know yourself to be that. Know yourself as that. That's all we were ever asked to do. Be still and know. K-N-O-W. To know. I know of them, but we've never met or spoken. I only asked because I was nosy, not that it actually mattered. It doesn't matter. They can know you. You guys could be complete strangers. It still wouldn't matter, thankfully, to the all one consciousness. Or another way of saying that is the I am, which is everything. Everything, everyone. I am. So you know yourself to be the version of self that knows that. Thank you very much for that, Zoe. Thank you. Thank you so much, Angelica. Thank you, except for my nails. But that's okay, because your girl got a nail delivery today. I'll be doing my nails tomorrow. Thank you, Amelia. Oh my God, you guys are so nice to me. Thank you. You're making my day. But seriously, to the person who asked me about, whether that, my God, thank you. Florio. I think that's right. Right, Florio. Thank you. You guys are being very nice to me today. I'm really, really enjoying that. Thank you. Kimness. What's up, Jessie? To the person asking me about, how can you either manifest that person, like a specific person, even if they don't know you, or how you manifest contact with someone, even if they don't know you. It doesn't matter what you're manifesting. I wish all of you would know everything about conscious manifesting without having to learn it from today's TikTok, even YouTube, because it's just so overloaded with information. I can't imagine how confusing it must be if you're brand new to this. And I feel for you. I do. You really, really don't need to know anything other than who you are, who you know yourself to be. All of us, every single one of us, all right? Everyone on the planet, whether we like them or not like them, everyone is consciousness, okay? Another way of saying that is I am. All we were ever asked to do to experience the life, what? Don't start, poop, don't even start. Barky bitch. She's been barking at our refrigerator all day long, just so you know, okay? Hence the frustration. And I keep focusing on it and keep claiming to be that self and then wonder why she keeps doing it. I know. I can see the humor in this. Is to be still and know. Be still and know. Or ask, believe, receive. And by ask, it's to know. Right? It's not begging. It's not wishing. Please give me this. No. Be still and know. Know that you are, or I am that I am. You are the I am. I am the I am. And from there, it's knowing yourself to be whoever you want to be. So if you want to be someone who's in contact with whatever your specific person's name was, even if they don't know you, is to know yourself to be it. To be that self. Because there's infinite self. There's infinite. It is that simple. But it gets so bogged down with opinions in this community. It's very, very confusing. So let's clear up that confusion. I would want him to text and call me. He living in Greece, would love to be his wife. So decide you are that, Cruz. Decide you are that. Why do you feel like you have to reach out? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with reaching out. I'm not saying that, but you obviously don't want to. So don't. What's the story you're telling yourself that you feel like you need to? Thank you, Dee. Kim, someone else is repeating what I am manifesting. What does that mean, please? It doesn't mean shit. It means you're experiencing the reflection of your own awareness. It's really no different than, you having a thought today like, oh, I haven't heard this song in a million years. And then exactly an hour later, that song shows up in your reality. It's the same exact thing. It's reflection. It means nothing. Can anybody manifest, like outdo your manifestation or prevent or stop yours? No. Nope. So I hope that's not what you were thinking. How do you ask? You know. You know it. You become aware of being it. Well, how do you do that? In my logical mind, 3 years ago, my way of viewing to ask, to know, was to know myself to be a version of myself, or you could say a woman, in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. That's how I manifested my relationship. I decided I was her now. So I knew myself to be her. Does that make sense? That's how you ask. You know it. Seriously, it's deciding, choosing. God decides. God chooses. So we could translate that to I am chooses. I am decides. I am doesn't beg, wish, plead, hope. I am knows. Do you see what I mean? You are that I am. So you know it. You know yourself to be that. Everything else you hear in this community is perception, opinion, and fodder. Truth is I am. Does that make sense? I thought I knew for a year, but I don't know, one day it just clicked, really. Good. I'm glad that makes sense. Kim, I have this sudden fear of what other person, the past, and SP have done together. Why? That's truly meaningless. It's actually just a story that you're making a truth. So in other words, think of every single day when you become consciously aware of being awake again. Okay, I'm just going to say in the morning, right? That's the common, we wake up in the morning. Think of it as every time you come back to this awareness, we could say to this reality, to the reality you're in right now, watching me. Think of it like there's a backpack sitting on the side of your bed. And as soon as you're fully awake and aware of being in this reality, you pick up that backpack and you sling it on your back and you stuff in it all the memories, experiences, stories, assumptions, beliefs, and you stuff them in your backpack and you're dragging them around with your ass all day long, including the story of what your SP did with somebody else in a previous relationship. Meaningless story. meaningless, out of the infinite. And that's what you're afraid of? A story that you could right now decide to unpack from that backpack and decide it no longer exists in your reality. You could make it meaningless. There is nothing concrete out here. So in the scheme of things, who gives a rat's ass what your SP did in the past? Did what? In what reality? You and your awareness is what keeps it alive and real in your reality or your timeline. Does that make sense? It's meaningless. What's there to fear? So I can say this one fair didn't happen. Yes. Because I don't know if it has, right? Correct. Because there's not just one reality. You could say it like that. There's not just one. There's infinite. There's a reality where it didn't happen. And the only thing that you would need to make that real for you is to be aware. And I know how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs it sounds. I know. But it's true. She just confirmed that she's my backup. What's up, Joy? Opinions on manifesting with severe OCD. Meaningless. Meaningless. Holds no power or in any way, shape, or form, any way to interfere with you manifesting. No neurodivergence. And I mean all. Anything that you would categorize under neurodivergence. You were made perfect, whole, and complete as you are. So if you have neurodivergence, that's perfection in the eyes of the I am. So can it get in the way of you manifesting? Only if you decide that it does. Only if you choose to be aware that that's what your experience is. And I know, sounds cuckoo, because we are all conditioned to think that neurodivergence limits us, which is also horseshit. And that's a tough pill to swallow, especially if you are used to being in any, let's say, victim mentality around your neurodivergence. But I promise you, even if you have felt limited by it, I urge you to take a look of it as no longer looking at it as a limit, even if you are medicated for it. That it's not a limit. You were made that way. That's perfection. We're conditioned otherwise. Just like my ADHD, we're conditioned otherwise. I dare you to think differently. So it doesn't have to have any impact unless you decide it does. Can you manifest medical healing? You bet your ass you can. And it's done the same way you would do an SP manifestation. Same thing. Be still and know. Know yourself to be, you could say, healed or perfect health, whatever words feel most comfortable to you. Because you're the one giving meaning to that, right? You're the one deciding that meaning. Manifesting away my credit card debt. I have zero debt. There you go. Evelyn, I hope you know that's absolutely possible. Absolutely 100 million% possible. Where people get tripped up in manifestation, at least this is my opinion from my perspective, just because, listen, I coach people day in, day out. I've been coaching for several years. What I see that trips people up the most is their logical, literal thinking in regards to how that manifestation will come to them. because our mind is conditioned to do its job and to overanalyze and prepare you for your next step, for the next decision you're going to make, for the next move. And when we think about being a different version of ourselves, we'll say the debt-free version of ourselves, our logical, rational mind wants to immediately start thinking about all the ways that it could happen and also all of the ways why it would take forever for it to happen. Because we start thinking of, well, this has to happen first, then this has to happen. And then when we can't decide on one way the manifestation would come, we start overthinking. We start thinking about like maybe where you're working right now. And you're thinking, well, I could never make, this amount of money to be able to be debt free before the age of 65 or something. We get lost in that analytical thinking. And that's what drowns us. Because it's going to come to you in a way you're never going to think of anyway. That's the beauty of this. It most often comes in a way that you're never going to think of anyway. That's why when we start feeling that stress and anxiety, whoop, that's the signal to stop. Stop. Who are we being in that moment? What are we aware of in that moment? Something that's uncomfortable, something that must not be true to who we're choosing to be. That's why it feels like shit. Does that make sense? I don't know, but I love you for saying so. How are you looking younger? I don't know, but thank you. You're having a baby? Oh my God, well, congratulations. This is wonderful news. Do you know what you're having? A boy or a girl? If it's a girl, you're going to name it Kimberly? Just kidding. Kim, SP suddenly has a relationship after 5 years of stringing along, but he's mine. Now what? Okay, we need to dissect that. Nala the cat. After 5 years of stringing along. Who, stringing you along? Stringing you? 5 years of being strung along. That does not happen without our own permission of allowing that to happen, my friend. I know that one's a hard one to hear, but it's the truth. Been there, done that. So it's the truth. 5 years of being strung along. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. You will never allow that again, will you? Never. Because why would we ever deliberately identify as someone being strung along? Why would we ever do that? Right? That's a slap to your own face. Right? You should be identifying as the version of yourself in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship where you're treated like a queen or a king or a king. You're the priority. You're always treated like a priority. And listen, I'm not saying this to you as in, start affirming all of this. I don't mean it that way. I mean, start knowing yourself as being that self. And this, I don't want you to take this as me picking on you. I'm not picking on you. I want to snap you out of that mindset, though, so that we can stop living like that. We don't let anybody string us along. Absolutely not. Not if we're awake to conscious manifestation. Right? Absolutely not. You deserve a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. But I'm going to tell you something. Hand over my heart. I wasn't receiving a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship until I knew myself to be her. Okay? You could classify my early days as being strung along, being unfulfilled, not being treated like a queen. Right? That's because why? Because I was allowing it, because that's what I identified as. Because I didn't think shit about myself. That's what had to change. And it started with knowing myself as I am. That's why, seriously, the last several years, my content has been geared around knowing yourself to be who you want to be. Because that's what changed the game. Changed the game. Changed my entire life. So, and also, this is not new. Okay? Talking about the I am is not new. This is not some new thing. This is something that has been around since the ancients were talking about this. It's always been right in front of our face. But when I first found conscious manifestation, this was, Jesus, I'm 51, a long time ago. I blew all of that off. That was not important to me. I didn't care about it. All I cared about was, well, how do I get my SP? How do I get my SP? How do I hurry up and get my SP? And money. I was manifesting money. I blew the most important part off. I'm God. I'm the I am. Yep. Didn't care about it. And it took me to wake up to that. To start really changing my outside world. So don't ever identify as someone being strung along for any amount of time. Fuck that. Never again. You will never lower yourself ever again. What do you do with the ego? Hold on, I went by so fast. What do you do with the ego and the mind when you decide your new version? Listen, good. This is a really good question. Ego's still going to be there. Ego's not going anywhere. This is other reason why I don't love talking about the self as I am versus the character. I think that implies or gives the misunderstanding that your ego is just gonna poof, fly away, and never be around anymore. And that's just not the truth. Your ego will always be there. Your character is always going to be there. You don't ever stop being the character. And you weren't meant to. Your character, yourself, your avatar, your ego mind was here for the experience. It was created with all of you. It's a good thing. The ego is what allows you to experience individuality as the self with, whatever your name is, right? The ego is what allows me to experience Kimberly. She's barking at the refrigerator right now. Just want you to know. So, as far as what to do with it while you're making your decision, you are aware that any story that doesn't line up with your decision of who you are is the ego. And that's all it is. It's not your enemy. It's not trying to hold you back. The ego is not a demon. And the ego isn't something you're going to shut down. Because listen, even with these so-called new I am teachings, they're not new, okay? I'm saying that with air quotes for sarcasm. What's the answer? What is the answer to their questions on what to do when you're feeling like shit or when the ego is throwing shitty thoughts at you? What's the response to that? The response is always the same thing. Oh, okay, well, that's not my story anymore. That's not who I am. I am the I am. Still addressing it, isn't it? Still addressing it. That's what I'm trying to say is the ego's going to be there. Shitty thoughts are going to be there. They don't matter until you decide they matter. And the less you react and respond to them, again, this is not pretending or stuffing down feelings, because you having feelings isn't the problem. It's not. Knowing yourself as the I am is knowing that everything you experience is choice and is okay. So, this is why you see a lot of people talk about failed manifestations, because they're trying to fight off their ego and make their ego stop talking. Well, that just doesn't happen because it's not meant to. You don't have to fight your ego. You need to stand in your decision that you are who you say you are. I am that I am. Know yourself to be who you want to be. And when the ego chirps, you're aware that it's just the ego chirping. And it's okay that it's chirping. that doesn't mean the manifestation has stopped. It doesn't mean that. It can be there. It's meaningless. Do you see what I mean? I hope. Why are coats changing the mindset from techniques to being? I hope that doesn't sound rude. It doesn't sound rude. And I'm assuming you don't mean me, because my being, I've been talking about being for several years. And my content with dates of upload will show you that. Just saying. Some coats are just waking up. Some coats are just finally waking up, which isn't a bad thing. They're evolving. I evolved. If you went back to 2020, which was when I first started uploading to YouTube, I uploaded to YouTube first. I was not a TikToker for a long time. So on YouTube, I really believed you needed to affirm and fix your self-concept. So again, I can really only talk about my own experience. I really believed that until it stopped making sense to me. Because how in one sentence can I believe that I am, and then at the same time that there's something wrong with me, that those two don't go together, right? They don't. They're contradictions. Oh, that's the funniness of it. It's discovering your awareness. So the awareness of being, knowing yourself to be who you want to be. So for me, it was several years ago that I changed. Why it seems like everybody and their mom is changing now, I don't honestly really know. I don't know. I think somebody must have finally fucking evolved, and now, let's just be real without being mean and naming anybody. I don't name anybody. But some people are just copying other people's content, which isn't very nice. But we know it happens. We can't deny it. It happens. So there's some of it. The other half, I would think, they evolved. They evolved in their thinking, which is okay. We're going to grow. I'm not done evolving. You're not done evolving. We're going to keep evolving until we croak, honestly. And that's not a bad thing, right? Because we know croaking's not the end. It's just a change in energy. But yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think we are finally becoming more aware. I agree. Is your I am that calm sense of knowing that you don't have to do to get, you just are? I would say, isn't that the calm, or how I would describe it, that still small voice in the back of your mind? I would say yes. Is that my boyfriend peeking? I'm live streaming. They all can see you, you idiot. Get out of here. Did you see him sticking out his tongue? Just ignore him. He's such a smart ass. Even Neville Goddard had evolved his way of teaching. He sure did. But let's just keep it real. If you put all of Neville Goddard's body of work in order, Mr. Neville Goddard talked about the I am from day one. He sure did. So he should get that credit. He did. And I personally see him as like the sweet grandpa of my manifestation journey. So I have big love for Neville Goddard, and I will go to bat for him any day of the week. Just saying. Yes, he did. That's right. Thank you. Yeah. See, I have read every book, every lecture, anything, even transcript of his original TV show. I have read everything more than once on Neville Goddard. I love him. I have such big love for him. He changed my life. That man talked about the I am from day one. Anybody saying differently is telling you, gets me sassy. Anybody telling you that he didn't is telling on themselves, and they're admitting to you without meaning to that they have not read his entire body of work. Mic drop. Okay? I'm just saying. They're telling on themselves. I'll go to bat for Neville. And I am very aware Neville was not the first person to ever talk about this stuff too. I know that. I have big love for Neville Goddard. Big love. He's changed my life. What do I mean when creation is finished and how you use it? Well, creation is finished. I mean, that's biblical. That essentially came from the Bible. And Neville Goddard talked about that relentlessly. And he would have the direct Bible quote so that you could reference it for yourself. I got it from Neville. I don't remember most of my biblical teachings. I didn't pay attention a lot in religious classes, to be honest. I didn't in my young years. So, hold on. She's upstairs, barking out the window at anything that farts sideways. I don't think she knows you're home. Poop! Sorry. I'll answer your question. Just give me one second. Poop! Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? Daddy's home. You hear her coming? I'm sorry. This is a daily ritual here. Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? Poop. He's right there. He's right there. No, over there. Over there. Aw. She don't know you're hiding on her. Don't tease her. Anyway, so that came from the Bible, that creation is finished, right? God has created everything. So everything exists. Anything you can think of, any thought exists. Now, our logical, rational side finds that difficult to accept. But bear in mind, these physical eyeballs of ours, we don't see the totality of reality. Right? Go and get her so she's not barking through this whole live. Come on. Sorry. Do it again till she hears you. So anyway, what Ask Neville talks about our self-talk too. Yes. What was I saying? Oh, creation is finished. So again, our eyeballs only take in a fraction of actually what's right in front of us in reality, right? That's science. It's not me saying that, right? Meaning I'm saying that scientists have said that. That's where I got that from. So knowing that, are you happy? So knowing that, whatever it is that you desire already exists. And that's why you would hear any manifestation coach saying that what you want already exists. It's already done, right? Or it is done. That's the direct quote. Because it does already exist. We tend to think small, and we think of our own small little world around us in the physical, but there's so much more, right? And think of the infinite versions of you. Think of infinity in general. It all exists because creation is finished. So why does that apply in manifestation? Because what's the most natural thing someone does when they hear about manifestation and they want to believe it's true? Well, they begin to doubt because they don't have 3D evidence in front of them. So let's say you're manifesting a specific person, and let's say your specific person is showing up the opposite of how you would prefer. It's hard to accept that your manifestation is already finished. It's already done when what's in front of you looks like it's the opposite. And that's like why I brought up, well, you don't see everything in front of you. You see a fraction of reality, a fraction of it. So you could have absolute direct evidence right in front of your face, and it doesn't mean you're not guaranteed to see it. And I don't mean that in a limiting way. I don't mean to say, oh, you're missing your manifestation. I don't mean it that way. I'm saying, since we're all aware that we don't necessarily control how things unfold to us, how our manifestation shows up in our life, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that what you want, like, in other words, you wouldn't even be able to think of the desire if it had not already been created. And that's biblical. I hope that makes sense. How can you change an aspect of reality, a feeling, if you've conditioned yourself of 20 years? Okay, good question. Think of it as if you're someone that is more of like viewing manifestation from the conscious and the subconscious mind. Think of it as the conscious mind gives the instructions to the subconscious mind. Now, that's normally not how it's talked about in this community, right? We mostly hear about how the subconscious mind is holding all the beliefs, and you've got to break through the wall of the subconscious in order to change a belief, right? Well, your subconscious, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Have you ever, I don't know, had something in your life that you believed like something about it in totality? You believed something was this one way. And then, boof, a piece of evidence popped up in reality in regards to it, and it completely changed your mind on it. And it's all it took was that one moment of seeing some direct evidence of the contrary, and you immediately changed your position on it. You were in conviction of the new story. And from that point on, you believed your new story. It took that one moment of conviction. And that's why they say the language of the subconscious is conviction. So the amount of time you might have had or being conditioned with a belief is irrelevant. It's irrelevant unless you think very logical and think it and things. Unless you think very logical and you think it matters. But it doesn't. It takes a moment of conviction, truthfully. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll never have an opposing thought. And quite frankly, opposing thoughts are normal. How else do you get to make choices about what you want in life, about who you want to be, if you don't get all types of thoughts, right? How do we know without the choice? So negative thoughts, positive thoughts. We get all sorts of different thoughts. We don't control the thoughts that come to us, and that's not a bad thing. We're not meant to. They're just choices. Choices to different versions of ourselves or choices to different realities because everything already exists. Does that make sense? So how would you change something that you've been conditioned with for 20 years? Take that 20 years out of the equation. See, by the question that would tell me, oh, you think it matters that you've had it for 20 years. Where I'm saying, no, erase that 20 years completely. It's irrelevant unless you think it's relevant, because it's really not relevant. You could change any belief like that with that moment of conviction, which is why if you go back through the years of my content, I use that exact phrasing. It's a decision with conviction. See what I mean? Being in the state and feeling it real is the same as getting in the groove and dancing into a new reality. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can agree with that. Yes. Songs like Believe and Strong Enough by Cher. Now, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or you're being serious. Don't get me wrong, I love Cher, but I can't hear that song Believe without laughing. Do you believe in life after life? I can't without laughing. So, sorry. But I love her. No shade to Cher. Just that one song. Kim, can two people manifest an SP at once? All right. No. But yes. Ooh. Don't let that confuse you, though. Meaning from their separate realities? Yes. Would it impact the other person? No. Right? My reality really doesn't impact your reality. Your reality doesn't impact my reality. See what I'm trying to say? Separate realities. Can someone else... this whole live stream, she's been doing that. Can someone else manifest in your reality? Especially the same specific person? No. Unless you believe they can, then you can manifest the experience of believing you're having that experience. Can you please? Do you recommend reaching out or letting them come to you? I believe truly it doesn't actually matter. It matters what you believe. Reaching out to your specific person, it's not a big deal. If you were in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship, wouldn't you be free to contact that person without thinking about it twice? Right? However, if your desire is to be pursued by that person, well, then I would let them pursue you. I wouldn't reach out. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But the act in of itself, meaningless. Meaningless. Been manifesting wife back for a long time now, and she is so mean and cold towards me. I'm smiling because I'm thinking about how my boyfriend calls me mean, especially in the morning. You hear him? I'm just not fun in the morning at all. What'd you say?
It's uncalled for.
He says it's uncalled for. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you saying that your person is mean. Okay, so that would tell me that right now, number one, that's having an impact on you, right? So how she's showing up, her being mean and cold, is holding meaning to you. Now, again, I'm not trying to tell anybody here that we should sit and allow someone to be mean to us. That's not my message. I'm saying that when... I wish you could see him eyeballing me. See, I try to end these live streams before he gets home from work because I know this is what's going to happen. He's going to be making faces and comments, which make me laugh. All right. So, so again, I'm not saying you should put up with somebody being mean or cold or nasty to you in any way. But how you describe that person is going to be how they keep showing up, because that's your belief of them. So if I were you, I would attempt to start describing her a little differently. See if you can think of her as being kind. You know, the complete opposite of how you're currently describing her. See if you can think of her that way. And if I were you, again, ooh, thank you for that. That was bubble gum. Y'all know I love my bubble gum. That was awesome. Thank you very much. The more you allow yourself to think of that person in the way that you would prefer, the more likely you're going to start seeing the evidence of that person, right? Because we experience what in reality? We experience what we're aware of. As I am awareness. You see what I mean? So however long you've been trying to manifest her, let's take that right out of the equation and stop thinking about that. And I know you're not going to immediately just stop thinking about how long you've been manifesting. But I'm saying let's not continue that story. Think about this. I don't know if you were here earlier when I was giving the example of every single day when you first wake up, right? Whatever time of day you wake up for the first time every day. In that moment when you wake up, think of it like you reach down on the side of your bed and you pick up your identity backpack and you slug it on. And your identity backpack is filled with all the stories, experiences, all your past relationships, everything you think you know about yourself is in that backpack, and you drag it along with you. And if we have a story about someone else, it's in that backpack. And stories are like nasty ass cobwebs that stick and get clung. And you ever walked right in the middle of a cobweb? It's the worst experience ever, right? Worst experience. And you're shoving shit off of you all over. That's what stories are. Cobwebs. Because those stories are one choice out of the infinite. And our instinct is to do what I just did. Start going crazy trying to fight off the story and get the cobweb off of us. But if we would put the focus on who we are as I am, and then we could say, and who you want to be, those cobwebs would disintegrate on themselves. You wouldn't have to touch them. You wouldn't have to sweep away the stories and cobwebs. They would naturally fall off of you. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I would do. Start with thinking about her as what you would prefer, right? Trying to see her in that light. And again, I don't mean that as a forcible technique that you have to overwhelm yourself with. That's not how I am meaning to give you that message. It's see if you can. And start putting some focus on tuning into your true self. Tuning in to your I am. Focusing there. And even if you listen, if that's something that you're not 100% comfortable with yet, why don't you ask your own I amness to show you that you are the I am of your reality? And watch. Watch as it presents evidence to you to help build up your faith a little bit. You see what I mean? Do I have to say my affirmations to manifest, or can I listen to them? You can do whatever the hell you want. Truthfully, you can do whatever you want, because those things aren't really manifesting for you. It's your awareness. It's who you are that does. And when you know yourself to be the I am, everything will fall in line. Everything will be added to you naturally, in flow. So who are you being? Who do you know yourself to be? That's the question. What do the affirmations do for you? Do they help you to know yourself as I am? Doesn't matter if you say them out loud, if you listen to them. Totally meaningless. What's up, Sig D. Lioncourt? Have we chatted before? Because I see that D. Lioncourt now. I immediately think of, what's his name? Lestat. That's what I think of from all the Anne Rice novels. Yes. Can you explain I am and how it feels? Your I am, because that's who you are. And you could think of it as has been in here with you your whole life. For me, in my experience, it's a still, small voice. A still, small voice. It's not forceful. It's not loud. But it's not meek and mild either. You know the voice. But when you're trying to focus on it like this right now, you're probably like, oh my God, I'm not sure. Is this it? Is this it? Right? I'm sure have had memorable experiences with it in times that you just know something. It's always there. But the I am is the totality really of who you are. It's more than just that still small voice is what I'm saying. Yes. Yes. The wise voice comes out of nowhere. Yes. And I just want to say also at the same time, this is the cuckoo part. I am has created everything. 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 Good and bad. It's only we, while, let's say, experiencing through ego, do we label things good and bad. Everything really is meaningless, neutral. And everything, good or bad, neutral, was created by I am. Everything. And a lot of us have been conditioned, especially if we had into like religious upbringing, that certain things are labeled bad and certain things are labeled good. Certain things are labeled sin. And other things, if approved by the local priest, are okay. Do you see what I'm saying? The fuckery in that. Everything is a creation of God. Even the things that you and I would sit here on a moral level and say, these are very bad things. Yes, but from our ego point of view. See what I mean? But just like I just said, life of Psi, think about why we believe that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But what part of us is labeling it that? Everything is the existence of I am, of consciousness. That can be a hard pill to swallow. So yes, you can manifest anything you want and nothing is ruined. Yeah, that goes for everything. That's right. Hi, it's a lifestyle. How are you? Yes, Karma 888. Yes. Everything exists, so everything is neutral. Mic drop. Kim, do you do sats? Nope. No harm in doing sats either. I just don't. I fall asleep too fast. And, truth be told, Neville talked about sats for, a large portion of his body work. He did sats. Worked pretty damn good for him. But no technique is required, truly. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you like sats, keep doing your sats. You like affirmations? Keep doing your affirmations. But while you're doing techniques, know who you are. As I am, right? Because without it, everything is meaningless. Same, I fall asleep quickly, but when I manage to do it successfully, the thing I want comes pretty quickly. Then you continue doing it. I think that's also another really good example of the only thing that I would say is like the one law is I am. Everything else is opinion and perspective and experience. The I am is the only absolute. So let's just say if you had to put every single technique on the table to be judged, they'd all be judged under the same category. They'd all be judged in one heaping pile. Because the only absolute versus techniques is I am. Right? I need to stop putting him on the pedestal. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Whose reality are you running, his or yours? Don't misunderstand that pedestal, though. I think that pedestal also can be a little bit exaggerated in this community. Okay? When you have love for someone, romantic love, you automatically put them on some kind of a pedestal, right? How else do you separate that person from the rest of the pack, right? You put them on a little bit of a pedestal because you feel in love for that person or you're attracted to that person. The key is to get your ass on the pedestal with them together. So it's equal, right? Mutual love. Do you agree? They can't hear a head shake. Just want you to know he's judging all my answers. So when I'm talking to my celebrity SP thought transmission, what does my man feels? What does my man feels? What do you mean, what does he feels? I don't understand your question. Hey, Naz, isn't there an, am I thinking right? Isn't there a rapper named Naz? Or R&B singer Naz? Isn't there? Or do I got their name confused? I thought so. Look at that one. Thank you so much. Thank you. So you mean like what he thinks in relation to you? To like while you're manifesting that person? Okay. Your logical mind is not going to easily wrap its mind around it, but it's all one consciousness. So the logical, rational you might say, yeah, but he doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know who I, my physical self, am. So how could he think of me? Well, I invite you to say, have you never, ever experienced a dream where there were other people in the dream that you didn't for sure know, but they were faces that caught your attention? Have you ever had a dream where you were making out with a stranger? You know what I mean? Am I the only person to have a dream like that? That's when I was younger. But a total stranger, you know what I mean?
Yesterday.
It was not yesterday. Don't listen to him. We're all one consciousness. All right, so let me give you an example. So, because I get questioned on the celebrity SP thing all the time. First of all, we have success stories of people manifesting their celebrity, okay? I got a video on that on my YouTube, okay? Celebrities are no different, by the way. And some celebrities like to manifest too, you know. Some of them believe in that too. Just saying. I don't tell secrets, but I'm just saying. Some of them watch this content, okay? They're just like you and I. They just have more followers, and, you know. That's all. More people are aware of who they are. So let me give you, no, that's not an example you're looking for. It would be more easier for your logical, rational mind to accept that they could be thinking of you. But if you're stuck on the fact that, well, we have never met, so he doesn't necessarily know you, it could be as simple as something as like you leaving an Instagram or a TikTok comment of this person and your username and your picture, even if you don't have a picture of yourself, catches their attention and they click on it and explore. I mean, I'm talking unfolding. I guess you weren't asking me about the unfolding. Anything like that can happen, first of all. But second of all, thoughts, let me say it like this, thoughts in relation to what you're thinking come into their mind. But your rational mind will more than likely try to talk you out of believing that. And that's, thank God, we don't need our logical, rational mind in order to experience the life we want. Miss Soldier, I think that's a good idea because I like him. Tom Hardy, he's good. Where are you guys finding these? Thank you. He is, Miss Soldier. He sure is. She's barking at anybody that dares to walk outside our house. I appreciate those. Can you share which thoughts manifest and which thoughts don't? All thoughts have potential to manifest. All thoughts. I would be lying to you if I didn't say that, okay? All thoughts have potential. The reason why we don't have to be afraid of, let's say you have particular negative thoughts that you're afraid of manifesting. Okay. The reason why you might have heard someone like myself say, don't worry about the thoughts. Thoughts can be there. It's because it's your awareness. It's who you know yourself to be that shapes reality around you. Do you see what I mean by that? So you could have a string of shit thoughts, but also be of the mindset that you don't have to be afraid of those thoughts and you don't have to be afraid of them in particular manifesting, and they won't. Because that's who you're aware of being. So at the end of the day, this is why we say we shouldn't be using the phrase your thoughts create anymore. Because it's the awareness. It's who you know yourself to be. It's your I am that manifests. Right? Have you heard that phrase? I am that I am. That's what it means. So it's not like there's a spinning wheel and those are all your thoughts on that spinning wheel, and that you'll say God, universe, the I am is picking random ones that you have no control over to show up in reality. No. Do you see what I mean? You could have a whole full-on spiral for hours with terrible thoughts. It doesn't mean they're going to manifest. Because at the end of the day, who you're aware of being is what determines where you are. Does that make sense? Yes. So we just have to focus on the I am. Yes. Yes. I just want to reassure you. Listen, hand over my heart, which I know. I know you probably only know me through here. So hand over my heart maybe means nothing to you, and I get that. But when I stopped giving a fuck about techniques, when I stopped giving a fuck whether I had a shitty thought or not, whether I had an emotional outburst or not, when I stopped fucking caring, That's when my life changed. When I literally, I'm so serious, sat on this couch and just said, fuck it. I'm just gonna know myself to be, or I'm just gonna decide to be who I wanna be. And that's it. And that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not doing anything else. That's when everything showed up in my reality. My whole world changed for the better. Everything showed up. So the less you're worried about your thoughts, the better. It's such a misconception in all communities. Law of attraction, law of assumption, doesn't matter. Both communities are guilty of throwing around that thoughts create thing. And listen, in one respect, I understand why it still floats around, because anybody who is brand new to this, maybe it's too much of a giant step to hop over to know yourself to be the I am. And the baby steps are starting with watching your thoughts. So I understand that. But if you know you're past the baby manifester stage, I assure you, you don't have to be afraid of your thoughts. You really, really don't. The more you know who you are as the I am, you will see the less rules and horseshit of bondage and restrictions around manifesting. They really aren't there. They really don't exist. You're so much freer than you're aware. Like, knowing yourself to be limitless is true. Our rational mind is going to throw a bunch of thoughts at you immediately, letting you know how you're not limitless, pointing out all the reasons why you're not. But I'm telling you, you are, because you're more than the physical body. You see what I mean? You are welcome. I am only believing the thoughts I make consciously. Your consciously chosen thoughts. Well, I think that's a really good belief to have. To me, that's really no different than someone standing in conviction of who they are. It's their conscious choice, right? That conviction. That's good. Especially, oh my God, let me just tell you, especially with all the anxious worst case scenario thoughts, honey, you and I could be besties, because that's exactly who I was. My mind used to immediately go right to the worst case scenario every single time. It would blow my mind how fast my mind would calculate the worst case scenario. There were times I'm like, I should have been some kind of like a criminal defense attorney, because my mind would go to all the immediately terrible places. So I get it. And I know. And it's like your own self-mental torture. And then throw on believing that, oh my God, my thoughts create. Oh my God. I used to make a joke. It's not a funny joke, but I used to say, if every one of my thoughts created, okay, if every one of my thoughts created, listen, the thoughts I have when I'm pissed off about something, or when I'm pissed off at someone, the thoughts I have, they're not good. They're not good. There would be bodies all around me, right? So not every one of our thoughts create. Just saying. I probably shouldn't joke about those things anymore, but I'm just saying, you're not on the internet anyway, right? Thanks for being so real, because that helped me to have everything I have now. Oh my God, thank you so much. That just made me feel very nice. Thank you. Is self-concept important when manifesting SP? If your definition of self-concept is knowing yourself to be the I am, yes. If your version of self-concept is what I call from the dark ages of the law of assumption community, where we used to talk about self-concept like if you figured out you had a shitty belief and you started viewing yourself as, oh my God, I have to fix my self-concept, or I'm never going to get this. Oh my God, my self-concept, train wreck. Then we need to throw out that mindset immediately. And I call it the dark ages, because it is. It's very logical, literal, very old school thinking. And let me just say, at one time, I believed it. At one time, I believed that mattered. That is bondage. That's what that is, bondage. The only thing you need to know is your I am, your awareness, who you are. Now, some define self-concept as that. So if that's your definition of it, then fine, yes. Oh, my Lord. Okay. This is where I'm going to say goodnight to you all, because this is so distracting. She is the worst behaved from about 3 p.m. and that's when I like to go live. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's me manifesting it over and over and over again because I keep identifying with it. And I know that. It's all about me. So, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I think the next time we go live, I'm going to go live from upstairs in my bedroom and I'll shut the door and it'll just be us. Okay? I actually have a little mini setup in my bedroom now. So I should have just went live there. But I did. Anyway. Hopefully you will all... I know I need to. You're not telling me anything I don't know, Dora. I know. Hopefully you will rejoin me again. I want to go live tomorrow. My intention is to go live tomorrow. If I go live later in the day, I'll do it from upstairs. And I'll have to shut the door. Okay? Because I don't think I'll change my perspective on her. Are you serious? I am so sorry if you just heard his nasty ass burping. What is wrong with you? I'm still live.
What?
I am so sorry.
What?
You act like a beast while I am still going live.
That was poops.
It was not poop. Don't you can't blame her. I am so sorry. Acts like a savage caveman. Anyway. Yeah. They challenge. That's right. Anyways, I'm so sorry, my God. I'm so sorry. When I repost this live to YouTube, I am going to edit out that nasty ass burp. Nobody wants to hear your functions. Most certainly I don't. Anyway, I love you all. Do you want to manifest a relationship like his and I, where we hear the burping?
It was poops.
Don't you dare try to blame her. Oh, God. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see you where I am going to, like I said, I'm going to go live tomorrow. But now he's laughing so hard. He's laughing over there. He's got tears. He does that to torture me. I just want you to know. It's live on the internet. I say that's not love. That's not love. He's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. I'm going to shut up. I love you all. I'll see you all sometime tomorrow, for sure.